A nice guy, and he just exudes macho.
Welcome to the Nation of Jake on The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
All right, welcome to it.
Yes, have some.
Yeah, the Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. We're online, KWAM, streaming live on the YouTube channel, Nation of Jake. One word, run it all together, no spaces, Nation of Jake on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and tell your friends to do the same. We've also got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Nation of Jake. Some good video of my kid getting her black belt on the Instagram. She had to break some boards, and she did it. More on that in a little bit. On this Monday, September 16th, year of our Lord 2019, sunny and 95 degrees, high of 97, and I'm starting to complain that there's no rain. It's been 96 degrees for 6 months, seemingly every day. You know, those overcast days that give you a reprieve, few and far between. You got to stay in the shade or just stay inside. It's as safe as you can get. Today, Kavanaugh's back, everybody. Yeah, Brett Kavanaugh, you thought this had all blown over. New allegations, accusations, and new calls for impeachment. That's right, the New York Times uncovers another alleged incident involving Brett Kavanaugh's wiener back at Yale. Some 30-year-old allegations, except there's more to that story. The New York Times, they had an explosive headline. New sexual misconduct allegations against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Well, then there was also a bit of a clarification, which amounted to, oh, by the way, there's really no new allegations against Brett Kavanaugh. But let's drag it all back out. How does this even happen? Well, when the New York Times adapts articles from books, heavily biased books, you get stuff like this. It didn't stop the New York Times from tweeting it. It didn't stop it from trending. It didn't stop presidential candidates for calling for Brett Kavanaugh's impeachment. But now that we have the whole story, well, never mind. Like Emily Latella. That's coming up in a bit, how the New York Times botched that whole deal. Also on the program, the illicit vaping operation that may have caused all these illnesses. You know, we've talked about 6 deaths from vaping, 400 some odd illnesses, lung illnesses from vaping. Well, was it all caused by a couple of Jesse Pinkmans in Wisconsin? That's coming up not long from now, in about 10, 15 minutes. We'll talk about the vaping bad scenario in Wisconsin. More on Antonio Brown. You know, he's been accused of rape and sexual misconduct by a Memphis woman, a gymnast here in Memphis. She is slated to meet with NFL officials about her accusations of sexual misconduct against Antonio Brown. But Sports Illustrated has a long list of really bizarre interactions that Antonio Brown has had with others. And it all just kind of supports my theory that I believe Brittany Taylor. I believe the accuser based on Antonio Brown's behavior, and more than just the frostbite on the feet, refusing to wear a helmet, and all the weird stuff he did over the summer. He has a long list of shady dealings that involve not paying people, sexual misconduct, all kinds of shady stuff. We'll get into that in a little bit. Plenty of headlines also on this Monday in the news cruise. You know, Mondays are strange for this radio show. There are some Mondays where I dread Mondays. Not because I don't like doing radio. I love doing radio. Radio is one of my favorite things in the world, has been for a long time. But sometimes it's just a daunting task to come up with content on a Monday because either there's so much that has happened over the weekend and you're not sure what you need to cover. You know, you got to have your finger on the pulse of what's happening. It's also sometimes you got a quiet weekend and you got to start off and identify the saga, right? Sometimes you got to dig for stories. However, this week is not like that. No, you know, we got the Kavanaugh stuff, we got Antonio Brown stuff. But over the weekend, we've got more tweets from Tammy Sawyer. Tammy Sawyer, county commissioner and one of the one of the contenders for the mayor of Memphis here in the Battle Mayoral. Battle Mayoral is coming up in about 2 weeks or so. Just a little over 2 weeks. October 3rd, and we'll have a mayoral election, some city elections, the mayor, city council. There are a lot of people running, but the main office, the one for all the marbles, is the mayor. So you've got the incumbent, Jim Strickland.
Mr. Strickland!
You've got Willie Harrington, the former mayor of Memphis, and you've got Shelby County Commissioner Tammy Sawyer, who has been a Shelby County Commissioner for all of 9 months. And she says Memphis can't wait. This is life and death for Memphians. Well, she has come under fire for some tweets. Last week, the tweets we talked about were about jokes about killing white babies, an admission of habitually driving drunk, and then also coming out and saying she has little respect for the police. She says, I really don't respect police officers. Now, she responded to the tweets last week that were uncovered by saying, this is foolishness. If you guys want to take decade-old tweets out of context instead of focusing on what's happening now in Memphis, that's foolishness. It's outrageous. So she didn't apologize for her tweets about killing white babies. She didn't apologize for the tweets about not respecting the police. She didn't apologize for the tweet about habitually driving drunk. Well, that would be different if those were the only tweets. Oh, but there's more. There's more. Tammy Sawyer's Twitter account is awesome because Tammy Sawyer is a millennial and she's running for mayor. You see, Willie Harrington, not much of a tweeter. Jim Strickland, I don't think he really tweets much. He has a Twitter account. He releases statements on Twitter, but he didn't live on Twitter. No, he's just not of that generation. This generation of people who have to get on Twitter and tell you everything about themselves, all their innermost thoughts. It's like their journal. It's like Dear Diary for some people. They can't help but share every one of their thoughts. And if you're 37 years old, like Tammy Sawyer is, and you've been doing this for 10 or 15 years, that's almost half your life that you've put on Twitter. And who knows when they're going to say get into politics. 10 years ago, Tammy Sawyer probably had no plans to run for office. Now she does, and now she's having to answer for all these tweets. Well, what are the latest tweets? The latest tweets over the weekend, discovered by our friends at WMC Action News 5. WMC uncovered several tweets in which Sawyer used an anti-disability slur, along with language often seen as offensive to the LGBTQ community. Now, Tammy Sawyer is going to claim that she wants to stand up for the LGBTQ community here in Memphis. And it's not a very progressive stance to be anti-disability. What did these say? Sawyer referred to others as retarded on several occasions over a period of years. Not just once 10 years ago. Not just once 11 years ago. Numerous times over a period of years. Quote tweet here from Sawyer in 2012. I like that Spike Lee goes back at retarded tweeters. Okay. In response to another Twitter user in March 2013, Sawyer said, I love that fool, but he is retarded. These are quotes from Tammy Sawyer. In a 2010 post referring to what appears to be a pet, Sawyer tweets, the pet was at my feet being a retard. Okay. A few months later, Sawyer tweeted, my list of people who cannot call me at work is growing. My girlfriends are retarded. Now, the Special Olympics and many other advocacy groups for the disabled describe the words retard and retarded as hurtful to those with intellectual disabilities, and it's not okay to use. I'm quoting these tweets. I would never use that word. It is a word you cannot use anymore. It's the R word. I don't want my kids saying it, so I don't say it. Now, WMC Action News 5 also found several tweets in which Sawyer used language often seen as offensive to the LGBTQ community. One of the many communities she purports to represent. During a 2014 Twitter chat, Sawyer shared a story about outing a teacher in prep school. We had a teacher that was a closeted lesbian, Sawyer tweeted. Decided it was our duty to out her. She quit after a semester. Hashtag mean girls. Hashtag POC prep chat. All right, so I guess she's on Twitter having a chat, an open public chat about what they did at POC prep. Now, I'm just guessing by the tweet. Now, that is an awful thing to do. All right, and this was in 2014 that she tweeted this, that I guess she and her friends decided it was our duty to out a closeted lesbian teacher, and then she was forced to quit after the semester. That's an awful thing to do. That's an evil thing to do to somebody. That is not your duty to out people. People who are living their lives in the closet, that's their choice. If they're not ready to come out and tell the world about their sexual orientation, it's not your choice to do that. Now, here's the thing. Maybe she didn't prep school. I guess what should be like high school. So maybe it was something that she did truly when she was in high school and didn't know any better. But just 5 years ago, she's openly telling people about it. Someone said, hey, that teacher was a good person. She says, nope, not us. No open homosexuality back then. I know 2 teachers run out. So it was like she was cavalierly telling the world that, yeah. We took it upon ourselves to out lesbian teachers in prep school. Now, something that you do in high school, I don't think that should be held against you. But if just 5 years ago, which was not long ago, 5 years ago was nothing. If you are willing to go out in public and brag about it, because that's what it kind of sounds like. Hashtag Mean Girls. Like, haha, here's something we did. In December 2009, Sawyer replied and retweeted another Twitter user who said they didn't know whether to dap up or hug butch lesbians. She said, I just wave at them from a distance, LOL. Oh, okay. And then there's all these other things about no homo, just a lot of anti-gay kind of stuff. Now, there's at least one Memphis resident, Natria Wren. She has an online petition, which she admits is largely symbolic, but she's calling for Sawyer to be removed from the ballot over these tweets. All right, so what's interesting is that she has responded to these latest tweets. The tweets about, anti-disability, the slur, using the word retard and retarded, she apologizes for that. Now, she says, I'll admit, I'd forgotten many of those tweets. When I saw them again, I cringed. It is clear that I have not always been the person that I am today. I've said things on public platforms that are hurtful, offensive, and just wrong. To those my words and actions from my past hurt, I am sorry, she says. She says many of the tweets from her time living in Washington, D.C., she says that those years were about a time of evolution. That's right. She was evolving with all her views. She said some of the tweets that raised controversy, like those referencing drunken driving, were jokes that didn't land or be taken out of context. Another post described outing the lesbian teacher. She said that she at that time had not come to terms with her homophobia at that time. But it was 5 years ago. She was bragging about it on the Twitter. She said she was embarrassed by the person she was a decade ago, said she would continue to learn and grow. She says, I'm deeply proud right now to stand as a candidate who cares first and foremost, not about Tammy Sawyer, but about the Memphis we so frequently leave behind. Black Memphis, Latin Memphis, LGBTQ Memphis, Asian Memphis, Muslim Memphis, disabled Memphis, homeless Memphis, poor Memphis. You're describing everybody in Memphis. Oh, except for white Memphis. The hell with them. Kill their babies. Because she didn't apologize for the white babies remark on Twitter. She didn't apologize for, I have little respect or no admiration for cops. She didn't apologize for the, I maybe referenced drinking and driving habitually. No apologies for those things because she's not sorry, because she has not evolved on those issues. She's evolved on the issues that could hurt her progressive platform and her progressive support. So look, that's why this kind of stuff, when people show you who they are, believe them. The only difference between Tammy Sawyer from 10 years ago and now is that Tammy Sawyer is now running for office. So now she's sorry for all those things. It's just how it works. It's politics and it's ugly. And look, you don't have to put everything on Twitter. all your thoughts. No, man, make some jokes, and you can have a joke. You can make a joke, but when it's just so cavalier, oh yeah, we outed a lesbian teacher. She had to quit. Ha! Mean Girls. Hashtag Mean Girls. That's an awful thing to do. So there you have it. Plenty for people to consider here in this election, the battle mayoral. And here's what works against Tammy Sawyer. It's not like she's running against a really controversial candidate. She herself has become the controversial candidate. She's running against Jim Strickland, who's, more speak softly, carry a big stick kind of guy. He's just very pragmatic. He's a guy that doesn't make you feel one way or the other. Like, oh yeah, he seems like an adult, and he's running the show, and things seem to be getting better for a lot of people, a lot of development happening in Memphis. Things are positive. Memphis has momentum, which is his campaign slogan. So it's not, she's become the lightning rod instead of, she's not against the lightning rod. She's not against her like a really unlikable guy. And now she's saying that some of her campaign signs were vandalized at a polling place. And that's a pretty convenient distraction. I would venture to guess that maybe not she herself, Tammy Sawyer, vandalized those signs, but maybe somebody who is trying to distract from all the controversial tweets, maybe vandalize those signs. I don't know a lot of white people, racist, running around Binghamton, spray painting Tammy Sawyer signs. I just don't think that they're really motivated to do that. I don't think it's that big a deal. And so, so we'll see. I mean, I urge you not to early vote. Early voting is stupid. It is, because stuff like this comes out and maybe affect your vote, maybe it won't. But you should have all the information, and there's still 2 full weeks of information that could be uncovered before you go and cast your ballot in the battle mayoral. So, look, vote, let your voice be heard, but don't early vote. Don't early vote. You can't catch a 2 o'clock bus on Tuesday till Tuesday at 2 o'clock. And that is my wisdom for you. All right, got plenty coming up. The vapists, or I should say the vape dealers who may have caused all this illness. Maybe they've pinpointed them, perhaps. We'll talk about those guys. But coming up, Antonio Brown's accuser, Antonio Brown, the wide receiver of the Patriots, made his debut yesterday with Tom Brady and company. He's been accused of rape by a woman from Memphis. She's meeting with the NFL today, and Sports Illustrated has uncovered a trail of shady dealings, which, I don't know, after you read them, it may make you think, Antonio Brown maybe did this? I don't know. You be the judge. We'll talk about it next right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
When's the last time you looked at the windows in your house? Not through the windows, but at the windows. Really looked at them. There's dirt, streaks, buildup, smudges, fingerprints, paw prints, spider webs, dead bugs. There's little white speckles. I have no idea what they are, and who knows what else. Now, cleaning all the windows in your house makes a big difference, but it's also a big job. That's why you need Just Windows Home Services. Just Windows has been taking the pain out of window cleaning since 1992. Just Windows cleans all types of windows, storm windows, screens, skylights, interior, exterior, upstairs and down. Now, I know I told you the company is called Just Windows Home Services, but they do a lot more. Roof and gutter cleaning, pressure washing, mirrors, blinds, ceiling fans, light fixtures, chandeliers. Look, if you've got hard to reach areas of the house, then you need Just Windows Home Services. Call for a free estimate, 751-3934. That's 751-3934, or get them online at justwindowsmemphis.com. That's justwindowsmemphis.com.
KWAM The Voice invites you to the Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair Thursday, September 19th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Brown Missionary Baptist Church in South Haven. This year it's bigger than ever, so don't miss it. Free health exams, flu shots, healthy living demos by Silver Sneakers, and valuable information on senior living, plus plenty of food trucks for lunch. The Mississippi Senior Expo, September 19th at Brown Missionary Baptist Church, presented by the DeSoto Times, The Best Times, and KWAM The Voice.
If you're thinking about retirement, you've got to know it's all about income. Your money, making money. The Retirement Income Doctor wants to teach you how it's done. Give us a call and we'll send you a free animated video kit. 848-2-INCOME. 848, the number 2, income. And tune us in, The Retirement Income Doctor, Saturday mornings at 10. Call now for your free income kit. 848-2-INCOME. 848-2-INCOME.
Chuck Woolery here for Blue Emu. How many pain relief ads do you hear daily? 5, 10, 15? And of course, all of them claim their new ingredient or their new formula will help. Blue Emu has maintained the same quality year after year and continues to be the #1 branded emu oil product. So don't trust hype. Trust Blue Emu to support healthy muscles and joints. Choose Blue Emu pain relief products. They work fast and you won't stink.
Available at retailers nationwide.
Have you heard about Newsmax TV? It's America's fastest growing cable news channel in 70 million homes. Every minute, every day. Watch Newsmax for breaking news on President Trump. Plus, get insights from Bill O'Reilly, Alan Dershowitz, Pat Buchanan, Mike Reagan, and more. You can find Newsmax TV on DirecTV, Xfinity, Dish, Optimum, Spectrum, Fios, Uverse, Suddenlink, WOW, and dozens of cable systems. So check your guide now and watch Newsmax TV. Real news for real people.
Did you know that your potential customers look at your website and determine your credibility within 8 seconds? Make sure your business reflects the quality service you provide. Contact Control Alt Design for a free quote today. Today's marketplace is very competitive and you need a professional web presence. Control Alt Design offers web design at a fraction of what the larger firms charge. Control Alt Design has been helping local businesses stand out on the web for over 20 years. They also offer logo design, business card design, flyers, brochures, and more. See their work today at ControlAltDesign.com. All
right, welcome back to it.
Yes, have some.
The Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990, online, KWAMTheVoice.com. Streaming live on YouTube. The YouTube channel is Nation of Jake. Run that all together, one word, Nation of Jake. We've also got Facebook, Twitter happening. In a little bit, I want to tell you about my daughter's black belt testing. The stakes were high. That's for all the marbles. The black belt, the first degree. Tell you how she did coming up here in a few. You watch any NFL football? I watched a little bit. I watched the Falcons last night. They held on to win against the Eagles. Falcons looked so bad in week 1, I really didn't want to see what happened last night. But I did, and I was pleased, being the Falcons fan that I am. If you caught the Patriots, they beat the Dolphins 43-0. 43-0. Oh my God, if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, that has to be pretty brutal. And here's the thing about the Patriots. They got Antonio Brown now. Antonio Brown, 6-time Pro Bowl wide receiver. Also noted head case. But the guy's talented. He scored a touchdown. He had a receiving touchdown from Tom Brady. But it's not like the Patriots needed the guy. They beat the Steelers 33-3 in week 1. The Patriots doesn't look like they're slowing down at all. Tom Brady could win another Super Bowl. That would be insane. So, look, Antonio Brown was there. He played, even though there are these allegations that he sexually assaulted and raped a Memphis woman. And now the story we got into last week, it broke last week that Brittany Taylor, who's a gymnastics coach, she went to college with Antonio Brown. And then some years later, he contacted her. They got back into contact. He said, I want you to train me because I want more explosiveness for my ankles or whatever. And you're a gymnastics coach, and maybe you could use the business, and we'll help each other out. So he has her come to his place, whether it was in Miami or in Pittsburgh, and he sexually assaults her on multiple occasions. He sexually assaulted and then forcibly raped her. So she claims in a federal civil lawsuit. Well, she's meeting with the NFL today. She's going to meet with NFL officials. They're going to hear her story. And they say that Antonio Brown could face some sort of repercussions from this, except it's not a criminal case at this point. So it's kind of like, what can you do? I guess she's suing him for $2 million or something. And there is some speculation that they had somewhat of a business transaction going on about investing in her business, and then it didn't go through because she had a $30,000 lien from the IRS. There's all this information out there right now. However, when I heard this story about how it all came to be, I'm inclined to believe her story Because simply, if I'm Antonio Brown and I really want to get strong for an NFL season, and I've got my pick of any trainer in the world, I'm not going to choose a gymnastics trainer, somebody who trains girls to do gymnastics. I'm just not going to. What I think is that Antonio Brown wanted to get with her back in college, and she was like, no, I'm not interested. We're just friends. But Antonio Brown is not used to not getting what he wants. And so when the two got together, he tried some shenanigans, and he did. And so I believe her story. I think it's a credible story. It's just not a criminal case. All right, well, now Sports Illustrated has a long list of shady dealings by Antonio Brown. All right, this is all based on interviews, witnesses. Accusations range from a previously untold account of sexual misconduct, a charity auction theft, multiple domestic incidents, and a long list of unpaid debts. Numerous conversations with people who have dealt with Antonio Brown, as well as reviews of court and police documents from 3 states, paint a disturbing picture. All right, so when you've got a he said, she said situation, you've got to look at everybody's credibility, don't you? Brown's first full week as a Patriot for the New England Patriots included a civil lawsuit filed against him by former trainer Brittany Taylor, which we've been over on this program. Sports Illustrated, in light of that, conducted interviews with more than 24 people who have employed, worked for, coached, or played alongside Brown, some who have taken legal action against him and others who have not, and reviewed police and court documents from jurisdictions ranging from Miami to Pittsburgh to Oakland. In a half a dozen lawsuits, he's accused of refusal to pay wages to former assistants and part-time employees. Court documents and interviews also suggest a pattern of disturbing, sometimes bizarre behavior, including a second woman's allegations of sexual misconduct by Brown. In total, the stories of those who have encountered Brown paint a portrait of a superstar athlete living a rock star lifestyle, of a man who rose from poverty to anonymity in Miami to stardom and wealth on a national stage, only to make a habit of insulting, attacking, and betraying people he saw as being beneath his station. Wow. And it goes through. There was, in June of 2017, he was at a charity softball game in Pittsburgh, and there was like a silent auction, and one of the pieces was donated by a regional artist, a woman in her late 20s who was there. And she was impressed because Antonio Brown thought that her painting was fantastic, and he bought it for himself. He trumped the would-be winning bid of $450 with a $700 offer to buy it himself. And then he asked the artist, this woman, to come do more artwork at his place. She goes to his place. He flies her over to Western Pennsylvania, where he wants a mural of himself on his wall at his home. So while she's working, he agrees to pay her $1,000 a day. While she's working on this mural, he shows up butt naked, as if to say, hey, let's get it on. And he's just used to getting what he wants. She's like, no, it's gross. Get out of here. Like, no. And then the art was never done. She was paid for the time she worked on it, but then he just kind of ghosted and was like, no, we're not going to finish that. If you don't want to get with me, then get out of here. So I think that's kind of like this deal with Brittany Taylor. I was like, she shows up to train him, and he's got other activities in mind. But man, it just goes on and on and on. So he shows his ween to this woman. He also, the whole Brittany Taylor thing happens. I mean, there were some domestic disturbance calls from his home, from the mother of his children, Chelsea Kyrus. Then they're claiming, credit card fraud and all kinds of stuff. Brown's run-ins with the police became stranger and more frequent over the past years. April 2018, police were called to his residence on 3 consecutive days. He called the police to report that he discovered a handgun and tote bag containing $80,000 had been stolen from a closet in his apartment. And then he made some other calls that, somebody stole $2 million from my safe. And then, somebody stole my Rolls Royce. But then when the cop showed up, he's like, I found it, I got it, it's worked out. So he's got all these people in his circle, either people he doesn't pay people that he's wronged, people who have access to his stuff, and stuff's just going missing, and I guess he works it all out. It's really strange. He also had this wellness coach, this guy who said that that he would go into business with him to do some sort of, I don't know, fitness, some sort of fitness supplement program. And this doctor, his name was Victor Prisk, former gymnast and bodybuilder. He says that Antonio Brown was getting a physical, and he had a friend of his videotaping it, and Antonio Brown kept on farting in his face, which seems pretty funny, except if you're a doctor and you're on video and you're getting clowned by professional athletes farting in your face, that's not cool. But this guy still went into business with him, and he's seeking $11,500 from Brown because of expenses that this guy paid to rent out space to do this business that they got into. Verbal agreements only. Don't get into verbal agreements. So it just keeps on going and going and going. There was a guy from a Aqua World Pet Super Center installed a 220-gallon tank at Brown's residence and filled it with piranhas. He never paid him. Instead, he allowed the tank to be covered in algae due to inattention, and all the dead, rotting piranha stunk up the place. And so now there's a lawsuit about that. The personal chefs. And it just keeps going and going and going and going and going. So, I mean, this is a guy who does a lot of shady stuff. Now, he thinks he's above people. He thinks he can control people. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he entered in some sort of agreement with Brittany Taylor for personal training. He decided, hey, I'm Antonio Brown. I'm rich. I do what I want. And that he decided, hey, I'm going to assault or expose himself and then forcibly rape this woman. So, yeah, I mean, going on the information that I have, I believe the story. And I guess we'll see if there's any other. And here's what's so tough about it. It's not a criminal investigation. There's not going to be police looking for evidence. It's just his word against hers. And there's money involved here. So it just kind of casts doubts on everything. Except, man, when you go through just all the shady dealings, man, it's thick. It just keeps going and going and going like that rabbit from the battery commercial. All right, coming up in a little bit, we've got the latest Kavanaugh stuff. So ridiculous. The Brett Kavanaugh allegations and how the New York Times has handled all this. Coming up next, though, we're talking about vaping. Not only have we had 450 some odd vaping illnesses, 6 deaths possibly linked to vaping. We've now got this flavored e-cigarette ban that's happening. Well, how did all this start? It may have started with a couple of kids in Wisconsin, in Kenosha. And we'll get into that next right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
CBS News Update. Iran is seen by the Trump administration as being behind Saturday's drone attack on Saudi Arabia's top oil facility. And President Trump says the U.S. is locked and loaded. Does that mean a military response? Correspondent Weijia Jiang.
The Chief of Staff for Vice President Mike Pence, Mark Short, had a different interpretation of what that means. He said this morning that it just indicates that the U.S. is prepared to deal with any oil fluctuations in case that the attacks really have an impact on fuel here because we import from other places other than Saudi Arabia, and that's likely what the president meant when he said locked and loaded.
Joe Cirincione is with the Plowshares Fund.
That doesn't necessarily mean Iran can be held responsible. The U.S. has been supplying Saudi Arabia with planes and bombs for years as they've killed thousands of civilians in Yemen. This is war, and it gets complicated real quick.
CBS News Update. I'm Jim Chenevey.
Stop everything you're doing right now and ask yourself, are you currently receiving steady paychecks? What about when you're retired? Will you receive a monthly check to cover your expenses and also have some fun? Dan Groban and Phil Menard at Servant Advisors Group call this mailbox money. It's the monthly check you'll receive throughout retirement. They want to help remove stress from your retirement. They don't want you to worry about if the money will show up or how much money you'll receive. The only thing they want you to think about is how to spend it when it arrives. Find out how to get enough money in your mailbox every month when you're retired. Call Servant Advisors Group at 855-260-1000 for a complimentary retirement analysis with strategies that could help your nest egg provide you monthly income you'll need in retirement. Call right now, 855-260-1000. Servant Wealth Management is a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Servant Advisors Group, LLC. Insurance licensed in Tennessee, Mississippi, and in Arkansas.
KWAM The Voice invites you to the Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair Thursday, September 19th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Brown Missionary Baptist Church in South Haven. This year it's bigger than ever, so don't miss it. Free health exams, flu shots, healthy living demos by Silver Sneakers, and valuable information on senior living, plus plenty of food trucks for lunch. The Mississippi Senior Expo, September 19th at Brown Missionary Baptist Church, presented by the DeSoto Times, The Best Times, and KWAM The Voice.
Welcome back to it.
Yes, have some.
Yes, the Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9 AM 990, online, KWAMTheVoice.com, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Nation of Jake, wherever you go on the internet or social media. I was driving around on Friday night. My buddy Knox from Atlanta was in town for some work. He said, hey, let's go meet up. Let's get some barbecue, and you can show me around town. I'm like, all right, cool. And so I was just driving through Midtown, and I saw one of these vape places. It's like called like Create a Cig or something. And I thought to myself, man, those guys, it's going to be tough for them coming up. You got this vape ban. Flavored e-liquids for e-cigarettes are being banned by Trump's FDA. Over, 6 deaths possibly linked to vaping. 450 some odd lung illnesses possibly linked to vaping. None of these, I don't think, have been linked to just nicotine vaping or grape vape or strawberry flavored or bubblegum or cotton candy. But they're saying, no, these things target children because there's no way that adults like all the fruity flavors of, lemon lime. I would try a lemon lime non-nicotine vape. Lemon lime is one of my... I still get angry that Skittles discontinued the lemon lime. They got the lemon, but the lime is not lime anymore. It's green apple. The lemon lime together was fantastic. That said, I just don't see how this is going to make anybody safer, especially given there was a big bust in Wisconsin. 2 kids, I say kids, but they were barely into their 20s. So these are adults. I mean, we should call people who are in their early 20s adults. They should be treated like adults. They can go to big boy jail. So if you're 22, you're an adult, okay? You're an adult. You're a grown-ass person. When my dad was 22, he was married with a kid and one on the way. So you're 22 years old. You're not a child. But anyway, they say, these 22-year-old kids in Wisconsin, they may be responsible for all these vaping illnesses and deaths. Check it out of Bristol, Wisconsin. The drug bust shattered the early morning stillness of this manicured subdivision in southeastern Wisconsin. The police pulled up outside a white shuttered brick condo, jolting neighbors out of their beds with the thud of a heavy banging on a door. What they found inside were not crystal meth or cocaine or fentanyl, but slim boxes of vaping cartridges labeled with flavors like strawberry, peaches and cream. An additional 98,000 cartridges lay empty. 57 mason jars nearby contained a substance that resembled dark honey, THC-laced liquid used for vaping, a practice that is now at the heart of a major public health scare sweeping the country. Vaping devices, which have soared in popularity as a way to consume nicotine and THC, the psychoactive ingredient in marijuana, have been linked in the last several months to nearly 400 illnesses and 6 deaths. State and federal health investigators have not yet determined a cause, but authorities are focusing on whether noxious chemicals have found their way into vaping supplies, perhaps from a flourishing nationwide black market of vaping products fueled by online sales and lax regulation. The bust this month in Wisconsin, where the THC is illegal, offers an intimate look at the shadowy operations serving large numbers of teenagers and adults around the country who are using black market vaping products, sometimes unknowingly because it is difficult to tell them apart from legitimate ones. Well, here's how you tell them apart from legitimate ones. If you buy them from a dude on the street, probably not legitimate. Buying anything from dudes on the street kind of hurts the case for legitimacy. There was a guy in Atlanta when I was there as a senior in high school. He was selling Oakleys. Remember all the rage? Oakley sunglasses. You had to have Oakleys. Well, he sold what we called Jokeleys because they were sunglasses. They said Oakley on them, but they were $5. And Oakley sunglasses were not $5. These were phony, illegitimate Jokeley Oakleys. We bought them anyway because you weren't going to get any kind of illness from cheap sunglasses. In fact, you were more like ZZ Top with the cheap sunglasses. So it was fine. You know, you knew what you were paying for. You knew it was illegit. That said, if you went to the sunglasses hut, you were going to pay what? $60 for the Oakleys. And they were legit Oakleys. They came in an Oakleys box. They weren't being peddled on the street by a guy saying, Oakley, Oakleys, Oakley, Oakleys. So, that said, very simple to determine the illegitimate ones from the legitimate vape machines or the vape juice. Now, key players in this operation, authorities said, were brothers barely into their 20s. Still adults. Jacob and Tyler Huffhines. Jacob and Tyler. Some of the whitest names I've ever heard. This is coming from a guy named Jake. The Huffhines lived in a small town nearby. Both are now in custody in the Kenosha County Jail up in Wisconsin. Tyler is 20 and is being held on charges of the manufacture, distribution, or delivery of marijuana. Jacob is 23. He's being held on charges of cocaine possession and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Authorities said that Jacob was being investigated for his involvement in the drug operation. Across the country, public health officials are awakening to the massive underground market for illicit vaping products, both for nicotine and marijuana. The products are sold online and on the streets, in pop-up stores, and individual transactions, sometimes arranged through social media. I'd meet people at Starbucks, across street, in front of an apartment, wherever they tell you, said a 17-year-old who was one of the people hospitalized for vaping-related lung illness in New York State. He asked that his name not be used. It never comes up where they source it. You don't ask. Like, you don't ask. That's right, because you're buying something illegal. You're taking part in an illegal transaction, and you know it. But the answer is not to ban flavored vape from vaping stores. I mean, this is big business. And if you want to regulate it, if you want to say, hey, you can't buy a vape pen unless you're 18 or 21, whatever it is. The same as you do for all the things like cigarettes and alcohol. Alcohol deaths vastly outnumber the vaping deaths by a factor of like 1 billion. Not that many. But seriously, 6 people have died. And they're vaping this stuff because what they do is they have THC. You're not going to get pure THC, right? They're going to cut it with something. So what they say is, look, we can sell twice as much vape juice if we use half as much THC and make twice as much money. So God knows what other chemicals they're putting in there, thicken it up with some vitamin E capsules. And that's what they're thinking is they're doing. You know, vitamin E, take it for your skin, whatever. I don't know, vitamin E. They take the vitamin E. It's like a thick liquid in those capsules. They break those open and they put the THC in with it. And then what do you have? Oh, well, you can smoke it. Hash oil, whatever. So they have cut it with all this other stuff, not knowing that, vaping, inhaling the oil is not good for you and it'll cause a lung illness, fibrosis, that kind of stuff in your lungs, and then you're screwed. All because what? You want to get high. Listen, if you want to get high so bad, this day and age, seriously, on like marijuana, just take a trip to a state where it's legal, and it's for the most part safe. Go to a repository. Want to go to Colorado, Washington State. It's where it's legal. Where it's illegal, in Wisconsin, buying this store, wherever, you're gonna run into unscrupulous dudes. Good band name, Unscrupulous Dudes. Well, here's the thing. The Huffhines brothers aren't the only ones doing this. There are kids all over the place who are doing this and selling it. There's a market for it. And again, it's just like with anything else. It's you make it illegal, it becomes less safe. And that's true for drugs, for alcohol, for guns, for everything. It creates a black market. If there's a demand, you can say, oh, no, you can't sell the cherry vapes anymore. You can't sell the grape vape. Then it's just going to create a black market for it, and it's going to be illegitimate and illicit and dangerous. So, I mean, it's pretty interesting, though. I mean, this kind of gives you a snapshot of what they're looking at. You know, there's tons of stuff out there, and it's indistinguishable from the real stuff, except I'm pretty sure if you're buying it from the guy on the street, it's probably not the best stuff. Okay? Especially if it's cheap. You can pick what? Cheap, fast, and good? Pick two? You can't have it all. All right, so enough on the vaping. I really don't care. I'm not going to vape. I'm just not. You just look stupid vaping. You do. You look like a total codpiece. You know that with your vape pen. I don't care if G-Man hears me. I call him a codpiece all the time. He likes it. All right, coming up, I want to tell you about the black belt test. Yeah, I got to witness my kid go for the black belt. I'll tell you how she did next right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
KWAM The Voice invites you to the Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair Thursday, September 19th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Brown Missionary Baptist Church in South Haven. This year it's bigger than ever, so don't miss it. Free health exams, flu shots, healthy living demos by Silver Sneakers, and valuable information on senior living, plus plenty of food trucks for lunch. The Mississippi Senior Expo, September 19th at Brown Missionary Baptist Church, presented by the DeSoto Times, The Best Times, and KWAM The Voice.
If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, stop. Don't do anything until you talk to my man, James Underwood. James Underwood has been helping people like you navigate the Mid-South real estate market for more than a decade. So whether you're looking to buy your first home or you want to upgrade to your forever home, James Underwood can help make it happen. No gimmicks, no guarantees, just a rock-solid guy that I've known for 25 years. So now, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, hit up James Underwood with CryLike. JamesUnderwood.crylike.com. That's JamesUnderwood.crylike.com.
Hey, are you ready for your new baby?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the ABCs of infant safe sleep?
No, what's that?
Babies should sleep alone, on their back, and in their own crib.
Wow, I didn't know that. Thanks.
For more information regarding infant safe sleep, contact the Shelby County Health Department at 901-222-9000 or log on to shelbytnhealth.com. Funding for this was provided by Tennessee Department of Health.
If you're in need of a professional cleaning service that takes your business as seriously as you do, call Jan Pro Cleaning Systems today. They understand how important it is to establish and maintain a professional image. That's why they offer the Jan Pro Signature Clean and the Jan Pro Guarantee. From regular scheduled cleaning to the tough stuff like stripping and waxing, buffing, carpet extractions, and detail cleaning, Jan Pro does it all. Call today for a free, no-obligation quote. 901-683-4900. Insured and bonded for your protection. Jan Pro Cleaning Systems. Measurable cleaning, guaranteed results.
Enjoy award-winning musicians at the Bartlett Performing Arts Center. Los Lobos, Hotel California, Rodney Crowell, Sean Mullins, Angelina Ingersoll sings Judy Garland, Gaelic Storm, Angelina Ballerina, Smoke on the Mountain Homecoming, and Mark Cohn singing Walking in Memphis. BPAC has it all. Theater, music, family fun. Buy 5 shows and save 25% at 901-385-5588. For tickets 24/7, visit bpac.org.
All right, welcome back.
Yes, have some.
The Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. Online, KWAMTheVoice.com. And on Facebook, I've got a photo. I don't often share photos of my kids on the Nation of Jake Facebook, but I was real proud on Saturday. Saturday was the big black belt ceremony for my older daughter, Eva. All right, Eva is 7 years old. She's been doing this taekwondo thing for a while. I've told you about it before. They use padded weaponry. They put on sparring gear. These kids kick the crap out of each other, and they do karate moves. And it's a lot of fun. I've noticed something, though, that the kids always get the next belt. And they do belt testing, but they always get the next belt. I mean, it's been very few times where a kid has not gotten the next belt. And usually when, say, they're not ready for the testing, they identify that early and they postpone it. There's never been a scenario that I've seen that a kid goes in to test for the next belt and then just totally fails and in front of everybody has to hang their head in shame. So I was pretty sure that my kid was going to get her black belt. In fact, I knew she was going to get her black belt because I paid for the black belt, right? I mean, that's part of it. It's a business. I had to explain that to my kids too. The karate school, they call it a school, but it's a business. They want to make money. And there's nothing wrong with that. That said, I told my daughter, I said, look, you're going to go in there and you're going to do everything that you're supposed to do, and you're going to do it right, and you're going to do it on the first try. You're going to leave no doubt. You're going to leave no doubt that you earned that black belt. And she said, yes, sir. She also said, you realize I'm just 7, right? She didn't say that part, but that's what her eyes said. Her eyes said, you realize I'm just 7, right? But her mouth said, yes, sir, which is exactly what I want. So she goes in. First up, she has to do her form, which her form is 46 moves, all done in a specific order. There are 3 times where she has to shout during her form, yeah, or whatever, kiap. That's what they call it in Taekwondo. She gets up there, and she nailed it. She nailed it. She didn't forget. She didn't hesitate. She went through it like a little karate machine, like a tiny ninja. All right, she was ready for it, and I was so proud. She came in prepared. The next thing she had to do was beat up another child. She had to do some sparring against black belts. And you know what she did? She blocked, and she kicked the other kids in the head. And it was fantastic. I watched my daughter kick other children in the head, and I was so proud. She battled against the first black belt, and she really got the best of her. I'm talking about my kid was like full on kicking another child in the head, and it was glorious. And then the next one, it was more just like a spar kind of deal because the girl that she was fighting against was more advanced. Then the third thing she had to do was she had to go take on 2 opponents, which was essentially her getting jumped into the Taekwondo black belt gang. So 2 opponents, the 2 girls that she had sparred before, both attacked my daughter. And my daughter had to get out of it like she was a Ninja Turtle being attacked by the Foot Clan. And she did fine. She did great. The last thing she had to do, and this was the pressure was on, she had to break 2 boards. She had to break 1 board with her hand, 1 board with her foot. So she got them all set up how she wanted to do it. And with her right hand, she put a palm heel strike right through that orange board, and she broke it on the first try. And the second board, she turned around, and with her left foot, goofy foot, she did a number 3 sidekick right through the board and broke them both on the first try. Did everything and left no doubt. And now she is a black belt. She has her first degree black belt in Taekwondo, and on her black belt, it says her name, and it also is inscribed, she is fierce, because now kids can have whatever they want put on their black belt. So congratulations to my daughter. She left no doubt. Now listen, there was another kid there going for his black belt, and he didn't do so well, but he still got the black belt. That's the way it works nowadays. It used to be, you failed. And you'd have to go away for 3 months and then come back and try again, or at least, apologize to your sensei who may or may not beat you up. It's not like that anymore. It used to be hardcore. Kids used to fight without pads and stuff back in the day and break their noses and hit real boards and get splinters. But no, congratulations to my kid, and I'm going to go ahead and take half of the credit for the black belt. So I'm now a black belt too. Kavanaugh coming up next.
KWAM, your news and information station with CBS News updates every hour on the hour. KWAM Memphis.
This is CBS News on the hour. Real news, real reporting.
I'm Jim Chenevier, the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, warning Iran after Saturday's attack on Saudi oil facilities, blaming Tehran for sowing instability throughout the Middle East. Jim Risch also warning Iran against any attack on U.S. forces, saying that would be met with an overwhelming response with no targets off the table. More from correspondent Stephen Portnoy.
The president said on Twitter he was awaiting verification from the Saudis as to who's to blame for the attacks. He also said he'd wait to hear from Riyadh under what terms we would proceed, though he tweeted the U.S. is locked and loaded. A senior aide to Vice President Pence said Mr. Trump was employing a broad term, one that touched, among other things, on America's energy independence. The president has authorized the use of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to stabilize global oil supply and the price at the pump.
Contract talks back underway between General Motors and its striking auto workers union. Some 48,000 hourly workers went off the job at midnight. Gerald Johnson, GM's executive VP for global manufacturing, says the company did put a good offer on the table.
We think this offer is very sound and strong with investments and job creation.
WWJ's Jeff Gilbert.
If they can't work out a compromise soon, it becomes a matter of who blinks first. GM will see its plants in Canada and Mexico affected as parts stop flowing across the border. Companies that supply GM will be hurt too. Workers who average about $90,000 a year will need to live on strike pay of $250 a week.
The antitrust probe of Amazon.com apparently digging up some dirt on the online retail giant. CBS's Jason Brooks.
Amazon may have a major antitrust problem on its hands. The Wall Street Journal reports that the e-commerce leader changed its search algorithm to favor its own products over those of rivals. The Journal says that's the conclusion of a years-long fight between Amazon Seattle retail executives and the search engineering team in Silicon Valley, which raised objections over adding profit factors into the algorithm. While Amazon's private label business posted $2 billion in sales in 2018, investment firm SunTrust Robinson Humphrey forecasts that the business will be worth $31 billion in 2022.
A Florida man, Robert Hayes, arrested yesterday for the murder of a woman whose body was found dumped along a road 3 years ago, is now suspected in the murders of 3 other women more than a decade ago. Daytona Police Chief Craig Capri.
We are working with Palm Beach with Palm Beach County to jointly on this case so we can get a solid case and get this murderer, disgusting serial killer who's off the streets now so he never gets out.
On Wall Street right now, the Dow down 123 points, the NASDAQ off 21. This is CBS News.
The CBS World News Roundup Late Edition with Jim Chenevey.
President Trump held a series of meetings today on the border wall.
Every weeknight on the CBS Radio Network.
With the stock market at all-time highs, cash in your profits now and invest in an asset that can potentially pay for up to 20 or more years. That's the sound of a producing oil well and the sound of a smart investment. If you're an SEC-defined accredited investor, you can take advantage of Encore Energy's projects. Call now to learn how you can potentially achieve 20 or more years of income and deduct 100% of every dollar invested against all forms of income. Call 1-800-803-8511. Invest in your future and buy oil. Encore is drilling in an area that is potentially one of the most prolific horizontal oil plays in the entire country. Oil prices are a piece of an oil field. Encore Energy is the most active oil and gas operator in its core area of operations. Call now and learn how to deduct 100% of your investment and create 20 or more years of potential monthly income. Call 1-800-803-8511. You'll be calling directly to the home office of Encore Energy. That's 1-800-803-8511. Oil investments involve a high degree of risk and actual results may vary.
A sign that this year's measles outbreak is waning. Just as the new school year is getting underway, the Centers for Disease Control reports no new cases of measles in the last week. So far this year, 1,241 cases reported in 31 states, easily the worst outbreak to hit the country since 1992. If you love sushi, you could be putting yourself at a higher risk for catching superbugs. That's the word from researchers at the University of Florida. They've been studying dolphins because they are an excellent source of information on sea life due to their wide-ranging diet. What the scientists have found is a doubling in the number of antibiotic-resistant bacteria in fish over the past 5 years. And of course, sushi eaters could be at risk of infection from these superbugs because they can thrive in undercooked or uncooked seafood. These are bugs that are today's strongest medicines can't cure. Antimicrobial resistance is seen as the biggest threat to modern medicine. Jim Chenevey, CBS News.
Here's a special message for those of you who owe the IRS at least $10,000 or more in back taxes. The IRS has special programs in place that could eliminate or reduce your tax debt by thousands of dollars. With a call to National Tax Helpline, you can stop the wage garnishments, levies, and tax liens now. Once you've qualified and enrolled, the IRS will stop all the collection activities against you. These unique programs have been allocated to help the economy and significantly reduce or eliminate your tax burden. The IRS is currently accepting accepting reduced settlements and other favorable programs, you may qualify for substantial savings. So get the help you need. If you owe the IRS $10,000 or more, call now for free information and to see if you qualify. Take down the number now for the tax helpline. 800-805-1055. That's 800-805-1055 for free information. 800-805-1055. That's 800-805-1055.
Damn, boy, that's what I'm talking about, Jake.
I've worked in the private sector. They expect results.
Welcome to the Nation of Jake on The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, have some.
Welcome back to the Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. You're online at KWAMTheVoice.com. You can listen live with the link in the top right corner. You can also watch the show on the YouTube channel, Nation of Jake there on YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and then also share it with your friends. Let them all know about the Nation of Jake. Look, if this radio thing doesn't work out, still got the YouTube. I could be a YouTube star, but I need you to help me do that by subscribing. I need like 1,000 subscribers, and I need you to watch all of the shows, and then I can qualify to get monetized. And if I get monetized, I'll spread the wealth around, man. Spread the wealth around to the nation. I'll tax myself. I'll make sure you guys get stickers and T-shirts and all kinds of other swag so you can go out and tell more people about the Nation of Jake. It just, help me help you. Help me help you get more stuff. That's really the end game. Also on Facebook and Twitter at Nation of Jake. So over the weekend, a big thing for me was the Tammy Sawyer tweets. We've got the Battle Mayoral coming up on October 3rd. Tammy Sawyer last week had some tweets that were uncovered where she said something about, little white kids in movies, scary movies, freak me out. I'm glad I can't have white babies. If I did, I might have to kill them because they're damned. Which I guess was a joke. Well, it's not a very funny joke. That said, it's kind of an ugly thought about killing babies. Nobody wants to hear the dead babies joke anymore. Dead babies jokes were big in the 80s. We've passed that. You can't tell dead baby jokes anymore. She also had all these tweets about having little or no respect for the police. And if elected mayor, she would be in charge of the police. So that's probably not a good look if you are looking to be the mayor of Memphis. She also referenced habitual drunk driving. But here's the thing. She didn't apologize for any of those. She did not want to apologize for that. She said, this is foolishness. You guys are taking all my old tweets out of context. Wow, this is life and death for Memphians. However, there were more tweets. Didn't stop there. WMC Action News 5 uncovered tweets where she used the word retard and retarded over and over again, which is highly offensive. You can't do that. And she also admitted that she outed one of her teachers while in prep school. Yeah, a closeted lesbian teacher of hers. She said it was our duty to out her. And she said hashtag mean girls while she was just talking about this publicly on the Twitter. And she'd also, done some other things that were offensive to the LGBTQ community. Now, she's apologizing for those. All right, she did not apologize for the kill white baby tweets or the habitual drunk driving tweets or the I don't respect the police tweets. But then when it was found out that she had tweeted things that were offensive to the disabled and the LGBTQ community, as Dave Chappelle would call them, the alphabet people, she apologizes. I'm not who I was. I've evolved. That's not who I am. Look, when people have to constantly tell you, while facing things they've actually done and said, that's not who I am, that is who they are. And when they show you who they are, believe them. That I think is a phrase that Tammy Sawyer would agree with. So, good luck. Good luck now with having to backpedal and backtrack. It's just never a good look. Don't apologize to the rage mob, right? Isn't that the rule now? The other thing over the weekend is a familiar name. He's back. Kavanaugh. Yeah, Brett Kavanaugh. Remember the Kavanaugh hearings and the Kavanaugh saga? Well, here we have new allegations. Here I was told, new allegations of sexual misconduct from Brett Kavanaugh. This now the Supreme Court Justice, Associate Justice on the Supreme Court. He's been confirmed. You can't unconfirm him. You can't fire him. He's got a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court. I guess you could have impeached him, and that's what some of these presidential candidates are calling for. I know that Kamala Harris and Castro, they're saying, we have to impeach Brett Kavanaugh now because the old hearings, he wasn't vetted enough. I mean, he was vetted quite a bit. But now they're calling for his impeachment over these new allegations that surfaced in the New York Times. Here we have the New York Times. They reported, and this is gross, and I'm not going to harp on this detail, but the New York Times had an element of this books accounting an assertion by a Yale classmate of Brett Kavanaugh. All right, so this article in the New York Times was published, and it was an adaptation from a forthcoming book, an anti-Kavanaugh book, which already casts some doubt on the veracity of the claims. So the New York Times publishes these new allegations, and so they let these allegations trend on Twitter for 24, 48 hours, to the point where you get people now saying, we need to impeach Brett Kavanaugh. There's more allegations. Well, there are not more allegations. There's a book. There's a book out, and they're trying to sell this book. You can't have a New York Times bestseller without the New York Times, can you? So now the New York Times has had to retract and correct the article that was adapted from this anti-Brett Kavanaugh book. A complete mess by any objective measure. You've got an article in the New York Times purporting to have new allegations, and this article was adapted from a book. So only after all these things trend and people are calling for an investigation and impeachment proceedings against Brett Kavanaugh, do you have the New York Times printing this correction? Check this out. An earlier version of this article, which was adapted from a forthcoming book, did not include one element of the book's account regarding an assertion by a Yale classmate that friends of Brett Kavanaugh pushed his penis into the hand of a female student at a drunken dorm party. The book reports the female student declined to be interviewed, and friends say she does not recall the incident. That information has been added to the article. Hold on, man. That's a lot to unpack, as they say. First of all, the allegation made in the book is that friends of Brett Kavanaugh, quote, pushed his penis into the hand of a female student at a drunken dorm party. All right, I'm not going to keep harping on that. All right, we're done. However, if his friends, if other dudes touched and pushed his manhood anywhere, whether it was in the hand of a female partygoer or into the mashed potatoes, wherever they did the pushing of his ween, I think Brett Kavanaugh has a case that he was sexually assaulted. Don't you? How many times have you ever let your friends touch your junk? 0 is the right answer. You don't let them touch your junk at a party while you're drunk. Look, people get drunk at parties. They lose their pants all the time. Maybe he's oblivious to what's going on. Maybe he's hammered. He likes beer. He said as much in his confirmation hearing. And you got dudes like pushing his ween around. You can't do that. I think that he's a victim here, if anything. And that said, the victim doesn't remember it, declined to be interviewed, doesn't recall, has no recollection, to the point where, no, I don't know what happened. I don't know what they're talking about. So, no victim, no crime, no incident. But it didn't stop the New York Times from printing it and letting it trend and getting it out there. Oh, yeah, so, Kamala Harris, she gets those. So we need to impeach Brett Kavanaugh. I was in those hearings. I sat through those hearings. What she's really saying is, hey, I grandstanded through those hearings. I did a whole lot of grandstanding, and if there's an opportunity to reopen this so I can do some more grandstanding, I will not pass up the opportunity to grandstand anymore. Have you seen my polling numbers? So you got Kamala Harris, Julian Castro, and a lot of people jumped on this saying, oh yeah, impeach Brett Kavanaugh. But what else is going on here? I mean, other than the fact you've got this gross story of dudes like pushing his wiener around while he's drunk. Ugh. Oh. I've had the image of Brett Kavanaugh's manhood in my head way too many times in the past year. I mean, and once is enough with all these hearings and all these accusations. Now, this kind of started bubbling up last week. There's something more here. There's a reason. Not only does somebody want to sell their anti-Kavanaugh book, so they had an adaptation from the book masquerading as new allegations, breaking news in a New York Times article. There's something else going on. Because last week, there was a video. We didn't talk about it on this program, but it was out there on the Twitter. There's a video of Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's attorney. Okay? Remember Dr. Christine Blasey Ford? She was the witness. She claimed that Brett Kavanaugh jumped her on her bed and, while she was in a bathing suit and, touched her boobs. And that she felt violated, and this happened at a party, and nobody else was there to see it. In fact, her friend Leland Kaiser, or Kaiser Sose, whoever it was, says, yeah, I don't believe it either. One of the people that she claims was a witness, she didn't believe. You know the whole thing, Dr. Ford. I mean, it was high drama. We talked about it for days here on this program. Well, her attorney let something slip last week. I don't know if you heard this or not. We'll take a listen. This is the attorney for Christine Blasey Ford talking about Brett Kavanaugh and his appointment to the Supreme Court.
Aftermath of these hearings, I believe that Christine's testimony brought about more good than the harm misogynist Republicans caused by allowing Kavanaugh on the court. We were going to have a conservative. Elections have consequences. But he will always have an asterisk next to his name. When he takes a scalpel to Roe v. Wade, we will know who he is, we know his character, and we know what motivates him. And that is important. It is important that we know, and that was part of what motivated Christine.
Wait, hold on. That's part of what motivated Christine Blasey Ford. I was told that it wasn't political. I was told she said that her motivation was not political. That there was no calculus about Roe v. Wade or any of that stuff. That she wasn't motivated by politics. This was a personal story. That he hurt her. But now her attorney is saying that's part of the motivation. Oh, wait a second. I kind of cast doubts on all that testimony. So you can't just have Christine Blasey Ford, who was the star witness against Brett Kavanaugh during those hearings. Oh, the other thing is this. It's almost as if the Democrats are trying to delegitimize the Supreme Court. Well, because they've got a conservative majority now with Kavanaugh on there. And you've got Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who has been in ill health. I don't want to speculate about the future. I hope the lady's around as long as she wants to be around. All right. I mean, I think that she's highly partisan as a judge, and that she's not the kind of justice that I like to see adjudicating. However, I don't want anything bad to happen to her. But she's old, and she's had cancer multiple times. And so people are starting to speculate, how long will she be around, either on the court or in the world? So this seems like a move to preempt anything. Maybe we can take some action on Kavanaugh. Because if RBG retires or dies, you're going to have a 6-3 conservative court. So any effort to delegitimize the court as a whole or get Kavanaugh out of there, they're not going to give up. I mean, they have been pushing. Think about the past 2.5 or 3 years. It's all been about removing people from office and delegitimizing them. Instead of winning with ideas, it's all about tear it down, stop it, do whatever you can through any means possible. Just stop this from happening. The results of a free and fair election. They just want to stop. They cannot deal with the fact that 2016 went the way it went. They're in denial. They're delusional. And honestly, man, this last thing, where's the New York Times on this? What excuse do they have for publishing this breaking new allegations? I got all these messages on my phone, all these notifications. Everybody's on Twitter. You've got presidential candidates calling for the impeachment of a Supreme Court justice who was duly appointed. They voted on it, and he was vetted. They had months and months, and they bring up these allegations, which we now know through the lawyer for Christine Blasey Ford were motivated by politics, by this fear that Brett Kavanaugh is going to take a scalpel to Roe v. Wade, which there's no indication that that's true. I mean, this is goofy. So I was like, oh, man, Kavanaugh's, it's all coming back. I'll get him in the news again. So I guess the strategy for Democrats in 2020 is to have Brett Kavanaugh be the face man for the judiciary, President Trump the face man for the executive, and Mitch McConnell the face man for the legislative. And those are three pretty ugly faces to Democrats and their base. And that's the three-headed monster they want to slay. That's what it's all coming down to. It's all political. It's all gross. Because I had to read about dudes touching Brett Kavanaugh's penis. And I didn't want to read about that again. I'd rather read about him beating up the UB40 guy's doppelganger again. That was the fun story from that whole saga. All right, coming up, it gets better with Joe Biden, man. The front runner for 2020, of course, is Sleepy Joe Biden, Uncle Joe Biden, former Vice President Joe Biden. He's been going around telling this story about how he threatened a gang member back in the day when he was a lifeguard. And it is amazing. I had never heard this audio before. But let's have story time. Let's gather around the radio. Maybe, I don't know, we'll put on the record player later. We want Uncle Joe. Please tell us the story about how you took on the thug gang leader Corn Pop. You've got to hear this. You don't want to miss it. Keep it right here on the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
When's the last time you looked at the windows in your house? Not through the windows, but at the windows. Really looked at them. There's dirt, streaks, buildup, smudges, fingerprints, paw prints, spider webs, dead bugs. There's little white speckles. I have no idea what they are, and who knows what else. Now, cleaning all the windows in your house makes a big difference, but it's also a big job. That's why you need Just Windows Home Services. Just Windows has been taking the pain out of window cleaning since 1992. Just Windows cleans all types of windows, storm windows, screens, skylights, interior, exterior, upstairs and down. Now, I know I told you the company is called Just Windows Home Services, but they do a lot more. Roof and gutter cleaning, pressure washing, mirrors, blinds, ceiling fans, light fixtures, chandeliers. Look, if you've got hard to reach areas of the house, then you need Just Windows Home Services. Call for a free estimate, 751-3934. That's 751-3934, or get them online at justwindowsmemphis.com. That's justwindowsmemphis.com.
KWAM The Voice invites you to the Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair Thursday, September 19th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Brown Missionary Baptist Church in South Haven. This year it's bigger than ever, so don't miss it. Free health exams, flu shots, healthy living demos by Silver Sneakers, and valuable information on senior living, plus plenty of food trucks for lunch. The Mississippi Senior Expo, September 19th at Brown Missionary Baptist Church, presented by the DeSoto Times, The Best Times, and KWAM The Voice.
If you're a baby boomer here in the Mid-South area, this message is for you. We've designed a brand new radio show with you in mind. It's The Retirement Income Doctor, hosted by Dave McAdams of the McAdams Group. Each week, Dave will teach you retirement strategies that have worked year after year, decade after decade in any kind of market. That's right, the Retirement Income Doctor will teach you these strategies. So join us Saturday mornings at 10 for the Retirement Income Doctor.
Design Jewelers in Bartlett is renowned for being the best in custom jewelry since 1988. But did you know they also do jewelry repair? That's right. If you need size fixing, ring setting, stone tightening, chain or watch repair, stop by Design Jewelers at 3135 Kirby Whitten Parkway. Their combination of expertise and customer service cannot be found anywhere else. That's Design Jewelers in Bartlett, 3135 Kirby Whitten Parkway.
Planning for retirement can be confusing and overwhelming. Tune into the Servant Retirement Show to hear the current news and events today's retirees need to know. Every Saturday morning at 8 on KWAM, The Voice, AM 990. If you want to talk to Dan Groban or Philip Menard today about your retirement plans, call the team at Servant Advisors Group, 855-260-1000. That's 855-260-1000. Get started on the path toward a comfortable retirement today. 855-260-1000.
Did you know that your potential customers look at your website and determine your credibility within 8 seconds? Make sure your business reflects the quality service you provide. Contact Control Alt Design for a free quote today. Today's marketplace is very competitive and you need a professional web presence. Control Alt Design offers web design at a fraction of what the larger firms charge. Control Alt Design has been helping local businesses stand out on the web for over 20 years. They also offer logo design, business card design, flyers, brochures, and more. See their work today at ControlAltDesign.com. I talk with healthcare professionals to bring you the latest wellness information Tuesdays and Thursdays on Live Life Well. Listen in and get tips like this to help you get started on your road to wellness.
You have to commit to seeing what you've been doing, taking ownership of what hasn't been working, and committing to make a change. Because a lifestyle change is something that you're going to have to work at.
I'm Bernadette Davis, and I've got you covered every Tuesday and Thursday on Live Life Well. Listen in during the Mary Beth Conley Show on AM 990 and streaming live on KWAMTheVoice.com.
You and your friends and associates are invited to attend the Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair, Thursday, September 19th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Brown Missionary Baptist Church, located at 7200 Swinia Road in South Haven, Mississippi. There will be health exams, flu shots, entertainment, and this year, there'll be food trucks on site to allow you to enjoy lunch while you're there, and a demonstration on healthy living by the Silver Sneakers. The Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair is promoted by the DeSoto Times and the Best Times. Mark your calendar for September 19th. You'll be glad you did.
All right, welcome back.
Yes, have some.
The Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990. Online, KWAMTheVoice.com. YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at Nation of Jake. You know the deal by now. If you don't, better ask somebody. All right, yes, I'm trying to sound hard like Joe Biden. Joe Biden is the gift that keeps on giving, truly. I mean, I really don't know if he's going to be the nominee for president in 2020 for the Democrat Party, but I do know that I'm having a hell of a time watching him. It is so much fun. I mean, all the gaffes are one thing. His eye exploding is another. His teeth almost falling out at the debate, a lot of fun. And then when he gets in the old-timey stuff, is really hilarious. Last week he was talking about, oh, you got to make sure you put the record player on for the kids and make sure the radio's on. I mean, just all these anachronisms that just come out because he's an old guy. All right, I don't mean to pound on him for being old. I know a lot of old guys. I love old people. My dad's getting old. Earl's getting old. I mean, they're not so advanced in age that they're decrepit. All right, but they're getting older. And I've got no problem with the elderly. I love senior citizens. I love them. Seriously. I'm into the old people. I'm an old soul myself. I love to scream, get off my lawn at people. I wear black socks with shorts. I wear cargo shorts. I don't care anymore. I'm kind of in that old man phase right there with you. But it gets kind of strange. You still have to keep up with technology and the way the world works. But Joe Biden's out there talking about Victrolas and record players and stuff. And there's this story he's been telling. All right, and so there's a video that's resurfaced. I believe this is from 2017 that people are talking about. He's recounting a bizarre alleged incident in which he deftly avoided a razor and chain fight with a gang leader named Corn Pop. This happened at a pool in 1962 where Joe Biden was serving as the only white lifeguard at the predominantly black Delaware pool back in the early 60s. Now, Biden's explanation of how he made Corn Pop stand down was making the rounds on social media as the former vice president was seeking to burnish his credentials with black voters. Here he is. He's at the pool there in Delaware, where he was once a lifeguard. He's surrounded by black youths and boys and girls around him, and he's telling this story about taking on Corn Pop. I guess he said he wanted to be a lifeguard at the pool in the African-American community so he could learn more about the African-American experience. And there he was as the only white lifeguard at the pool. And he tells the story, and I could tell the story, but nobody can tell this story like Joe Biden. This is the clip that's going around. I'm going to retweet the hell out of this thing. Listen to this guy tell this story and tell me if you believe any of it going on.
I learned a lot. And I learned that it makes a difference. This was the diving board area, and I was one of the guards, and there weren't allowed to, there was a 3-meter board. And if you fell off sideways, you landed on the darn cement over there.
Ooh.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Yeah, Corn Pop was a bad dude who ran a bunch of bad boys. Corn Pop. That's right. Back in the day, you had Corn Pop and Captain Crunch and Frankenberry. They were bad dudes running bad boys. They're in Delaware.
And I did. And back in those days, to show how things have changed, one of the things you had to use, if you used pomade in your hair, you had to wear a bathing cap.
Yeah. How are you going to relate to these young kids? Yeah, talk about pomade. Talk about Dapper Dan and Fop and wearing a swim cap.
And so he was up on the board, wouldn't listen to me. I said, hey, Esther, you, off the board, or I'll come up and drag you off. Well, he came off, and he said, I'll meet you outside. My car, these were all public housing behind it. My car, there was a gate out here. I parked my car outside the gate. And he said, I'll be waiting for you. He was waiting for 3 guys in straight razors. Not a joke. There was a guy named Bill Wright, Mouse, the only white guy, and he did all the pools. He was the mechanic. And I said, what am I going to do? He said, come down here in the basement where all the pool filter is. What? You know the chain, there used to be a chain that went across the deep end. And he cut off a 6-foot length of chain. He folded up, he said, you walk out with that chain. And you walk to the car and say, you may cut me, man, but I'm going to wrap this chain around your head.
All right, so I don't know what he's trying to get here. What he's telling people, how much he learned about working in the African-American pool in the community, is that he's going to, first of all, Corn Pop was on the diving board, and I guess he had pomade in his hair, which these kids are going, pomade? What are you talking about? And so he called him Esther. I guess that's a reference to Esther Williams, a swimmer back in the 50s, a female swimmer. And so then, I guess a guy at work was like, all right, go confront him with this chain. So you're going to go up against a gang member, a bad boy who ran a bunch of bad dudes, or a bad dude who ran a bunch of bad boys, and you're going to fight this guy with a chain. I mean, that's what I'm getting from this story so far, is that he's standing up to the big bad Corn Pop who was about to commit the unholy sin of swimming without a swim cap. What is happening? So he's told, hey, take this chain out there and meet him with the chain. What happens then, Uncle Joe?
I said, you kidding me? He said, no, if you don't come back. And he was right. So I walked out with the chain. And I walked up to my car. And they had, in those days, used to remember the straight razor. You'd bang them on the curb, get them rusty, put them in a rain barrel, get them rusty.
No, nobody remembers that, Joe. Because this isn't West Side Story, okay? This isn't the Jets and the Sharks. Not about to have a rumble with your greaser friends. What is it? Nobody remembers that. Yeah, the straight razors, you bang them on the curb, leave them in the rain barrel. What are you who are you trying to relate to right now? You're looking around at a bunch of 12-year-old kids who just want to go swimming at this pool, and you're asking them if, yeah, you remember with the straight razors and the banging them on the curb and the rain barrels? No, this is hilarious is what this is.
And I looked at him, but I was smart then. I said, first of all, I said, when I tell you get off the board, you get off the board, and I'll kick you out again, but I shouldn't have called you Esther Williams. I apologize for that. I apologize, but I didn't know that apology was going to work. He said, you apologize to me? I said, I apologize for that, not for throwing you out, but I apologize for what I said. He said, okay, close the straight razor, and my heart began to beat again.
I was so scared back there in 1962 when Corn Pop confronted me because I called him Esther Williams. It's like, man, all your references are busted. And there's no way this happened. There's no way it happened. Who's Corn Pop? Like, can somebody please investigate this? Nobody has any idea what this old guy's talking about. And the DNC just has to be like, oh my God, this is the best we got. This is the best we got. I guess here we got CNN reporter Daniel Dale revealed that an individual nicknamed Corn Pop did live in Wilmington and died in 2016 at the age of 73. A former Wilmington mayor confirmed that individual is the same person to whom Biden was referring. So there was a gang. There was a guy named Corn Pop. I guess he was hanging out with maybe Snap, Crackle, and Pop. Different guy. I have no idea. Just a weird story. Maybe fabricated a little bit. You know, guys carrying a straight razor. It seems like if a guy threatened him with a straight razor, he might just call the cops and walk to the car. This was 1962. The Wilmington, Delaware, or where the hell they were, was 73% white. There were cops around. So it's not like he was isolated. It's just a crazy story. It just doesn't really add up. It seems like it was something he made up in his head that would make him at the time, maybe 3 years later, 1965, maybe you could tell that story. But now it's like, who are you trying to reach? Just weird. I'm going to retweet it. So follow Nation of Jake on the Twitter so you can see it. Because it is hilarious to watch him go through this story, and all these kids are just not paying attention. But that's the guy. That's the one. The front runner, Joe Biden, stood up to Corn Pop, the big thug, in 1962. That's what he did. Yeah, with his razor blades on the curb and the rain barrel. Hilarious. I can't relate to that story. Maybe Earl can. Earl was around in those days. You know, maybe he knew about the guys with the straight razors and the rain barrels and the pomade in their hair and wearing swim caps. I don't know. It's just insane. All right, coming up, we've got the news cruise. We got all the headlines, all the latest breaking news. I didn't know this, but it is Week of Nonviolence underway in Memphis. So hopefully it'll be a quiet week with regards to crime and violence in the city. The news cruise is up next right here in the Nation of Jake.
Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
CBS News update. President Trump reacted to Saturday's drone attack on a key Saudi oil facility, saying the U.S. is locked and loaded. But does that mean a possible military response? CBS News military consultant Jeff McCausland.
Will we go after those militia groups in Iraq? And Pompeo, the Secretary of State, will be speaking to the foreign minister today. Will we go after the Houthis directly, or will this cause an attack against Iranian facilities themselves on Iranian territory?
Oil prices have been moving higher since the attack, and the stock market is reacting as well. CBS's Jason Brooks.
It's the biggest disruption ever in the oil market, topping what happened after Iraq's invasion of Kuwait and the Iranian Revolution. There are two sectors benefiting from the news: energy and defense. Shares are jumping higher for oil companies ranging from Chevron to Halliburton, and defense contractors like Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and Raytheon.
CBS News update. I'm Jim Chenevey.
Hi, I'm Danny Lipford from Today's Homeowner. Need to up your home improvement game? We can help. Whether you're aiming to impress someone special with your handy skills, tackle neglected repairs, or add value to your home, we've got your weekly dose of expert advice, tips, and hacks for taming your to-do list. And we'll have a little fun along the way. Your home will be the one that's talked about for all the right reasons, and it starts right here. Tune in to Today's Homeowner every Saturday morning from 6 to 9 right here on KWAM, the voice for the Mid-South.
KWAM The Voice invites you to the Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair Thursday, September 19th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Brown Missionary Baptist Church in South Haven. This year it's bigger than ever, so don't miss it. Free health exams, flu shots, healthy living demos by Silver Sneakers, and valuable information on senior living, plus plenty of food trucks for lunch. The Mississippi Senior Expo, September 19th at Brown Missionary Baptist Church, presented by the DeSoto Times, The Best Times, and KWAM The Voice.
I'm Ed Parami, the owner of Jan Pro, the franchise that helps you be your own boss. JanPro is now the fastest growing franchise in the entire world for the second year in a row by Entrepreneur Magazine. We are growing so fast we need new business owners right here in Memphis right now. So if you want to be your own boss and open your own business, call JanPro at 901-683-4900 to see just how easy it is to be your own boss. For as little as $950 down, you can be a part of JanPro. Don't waste another minute. Call 901-683-4900.
This is Clark Howard with a special warning for you. The bad old days are back inside bank branches. When you go in and you complain about what you're earning on savings or CDs, and a lot of banks now, they'll say, oh, go talk to Jane or Jim over there. Well, they are some kind of insurance salesperson or investment professional who will then pitch you on something that they'll never use the word what they're actually selling you, some kind of trashy annuity. I want you to know that it's become really dangerous inside a bank branch when you are unhappy with what you're earning on your savings account, that before you know it, you've made yourself vulnerable to them putting you in a horrific insurance contract for an annuity that locks you up for 10 years or more at huge fees for having it, and then huge fees if you want to get out.
The backyard's looking great, Rob.
Thanks, man. I was planning on adding a deck, too. Know any good contractors?
Why don't you just ask Home Advisor?
Home what?
HomeAdvisor.com. You just tell them about your project, and they match you with local pros that can do the job.
Nice. Now, how much does it cost?
Oh, Home Advisor's totally free to use. Plus, you can read customer reviews, check pricing, and book appointments for free.
What's the website again?
HomeAdvisor.com. Or just download the free Home Advisor app.
Home Advisor. If you have hard water, the Lime Scale not only leaves white spots, it clogs pipes and breaks down appliances, costing you hundreds of dollars in energy and wear. Eliminate Lime Scale and other water issues like brown staining, bad odors, and lead with HydroCare water products available from Wave Home Solutions. Wave's affordable systems don't use salts or chemicals. You'll love the way your water tastes, smells, and looks. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, go to WaveBestWater.com. That's WaveBestWater.com.
All right, welcome back.
Yes, have some.
The Nation of Jake is on The Voice, FM 107.9, AM 990, online, KWAMTheVoice.com. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram at Nation of Jake, wherever you go on the internet. Also, the Nation of Jake podcast. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, whatever they call it now, as well as iHeartRadio and Stitcher and Spreaker and Spotify, all the major podcast platforms or podcast platforms. You can check out the Nation of Jake on demand and commercial free. But now's the time where we hop on this boat, take a leisurely look at the headlines. It's called the News Cruise. It's brought to you by our friends at Just Windows Home Services, 751-3934. Give them a call.
News. Exciting and new. Come aboard. We're expecting you. The News Cruise. Full of exciting news. The News Cruise. So relax and kick off your shoes.
All right, welcome aboard the News Cruise. Brought to you by Just Windows Home Services. Those guys can clean your windows, also clean your gutters, pressure wash your pool deck, or just your deck. That's the thing, man. You get a new deck built, it looks great for a few seasons, and then it gets the gunk on it. It starts turning gray. It starts getting gross. All the buildup, just like your driveway and patios and walkways. Pressure washing makes a big difference. Hell, even the siding on your house. You know, after the summer in Memphis, you got all the pollen in the spring and then all the dirt and the storms and whatnot. All the filth and the flooring and the filth. You can get it pressure washed away. The guys at Just Windows Home Services, they can do whatever you need to do around the house. Just give them a call, 751-3934. That's 751-3934. 20% off of a free estimate if you tell them you heard about Just Windows on the Nation of Jake. Again, 751-3934 or online at justwindowsmemphis.com. We've got a week of nonviolence. It's underway in Memphis. Every September, for 1 week, Campaign Nonviolence hosts thousands of events across the country to address issues of violence, racism, and poverty. Here in Memphis, we got plenty of all of it. In Memphis, a proclamation was signed by Mayors Jim Strickland and Lee Harris that deemed September 15th through the 22nd, that would be this week, as a week of nonviolence. During that time, nobody is to commit any violence. But they will host daily events to promote peace in the community. I guess you can't really prevent people from being violent during Nonviolent Week. You'll be subjected to all the laws that are already there. We're trying to connect the dots between poverty and violence and environmental destruction, according to Nonviolence Memphis organizer Paul Crum. All right, poverty and violence, I get that connection. But then the environmental destruction, not so sure I get that. That's a little bit of a leap from the lion's head. Among the events, Nonviolent Memphis is working with Shelby County schools, largely to focus on ending violence among youth and teaching conflict resolution. Why don't they have Joe Biden? Joe Biden should come in and teach the conflict resolution. You heard the story about Corn Pop. He and Corn Pop got into a dust-up at the pool in 1962. Joe Biden met Corn Pop out with a chain, prepared. He was prepared to choke him out with a chain. But he de-escalated the situation by apologizing to Corn Pop because he called him a lady. He called him Esther Williams. He said, look, you broke the rules, I kicked you out, I'd kick you out again, but I'm sorry I called you Esther Williams. There you go. All you need is Joe Biden to teach all this stuff. So Nonviolence Memphis, which sounds like an oxymoron, is going to have a lot of these different events going on. They have a ukulele flash mob. Is a Memphis sing-along for peace. All right, they're going to have Crosstown Concourse Theater Steps. I guess that's where it'll be, the ukulele flash mob. Drone warfare and the resistance with Frank Cordaro. I don't know. Drone warfare? That doesn't sound nonviolent. On Thursday, planting of the peace pole by Veterans for Peace. I'll plant a peace pole. Maybe smoke a peace pipe. Reach, Teach, and Restore on Friday, September 20th. You're going to have the Gandhi King Forum on Saturday at the National Civil Rights Museum. That might be interesting. And then also on Sunday, I Am Us, Memphis Festival for Unity and Peace. Look, anybody who is trying to do good things in the community, I'm for it. I'm for it, especially that Peace Pipe Festival. That might be good unless they're vaping. Can't do that anymore. We've got this United Auto Workers strike. General Motors workers in Memphis are joining the nearly 50,000 others across the country in the largest strike in 12 years. At the Memphis GM Customer Care and After Sales Center, 142 workers are striking. There's 46,000 United Auto Workers members joining them after their contracts expired 11:59 p.m. on Sunday. So the automakers and the unions couldn't come to a deal. Well, why are they striking? Here are the main areas of disagreement in this United Auto Workers strike. GM is making big money. They made $8 billion last year. The workers want more money. The union wants annual pay raises to guard against an economic downturn, but the company wants to pay lump sums tied to earnings. Automakers don't want higher fixed costs. Why would they? The union also wants new products for the 4 factories slated to close. GM currently has too much U.S. factory capacity, especially to build slower-selling cars. Basically, the auto workers want more money and better benefits, and the company wants to mitigate that by saying we don't want to pay higher costs. The two will have this dog and pony show. They'll go on all the news organizations, and they'll say, oh, they're greedy. No, they're greedy. No, they're greedy. No, they're greedy. Meanwhile, everybody will just have to keep the car on the road that they're driving or buy stock that's already been assembled. And it won't hit you hard. You won't pay more for cars, but you will get inundated with all this, oh, they're unfair. No, they're unfair. No, they're greedy. No, we're greedy. Just go watch the old movie Gung Ho with Michael Keaton if you want a good snapshot of how that all works. We got a man accused of taking inappropriate photos of a woman inside a Kroger store. Which Kroger do we have this perv? A Memphis man was arrested over the weekend after police say he was caught taking the inappropriate photos. The victim reported the incident to store management, said she wasn't initially aware of the suspect until another woman approached her. The man was following her around, taking pictures up her skirt. Oh, come on, Rick Trotter style. The victim alerted a Kroger employee, who then told security. Police arrived. They were allowed to look at the suspect's phone. They found several upskirt photos. He was charged with photographing persons without their consent. And his name is Edwin Lopez, accused of being a creeper. Did you hear about the Germantown Trader Joe's? Robbed at gunpoint. Early Sunday morning, about 5 a.m., a man armed with a handgun came in the business, took an undetermined amount of cash from 3 employees inside the business, and then ran away carrying a black duffel bag. No one was injured. Anybody with information should call Germantown Crime Stoppers, 757-CASH. You know what? The MO right now in Germantown is early morning robberies. People are getting robbed. Their houses, businesses, 4:30, 5 a.m., which it's no good, man, because you got people out there, people get up and early and going to the gym and running and stuff like that. I mean, you run into these guys. There have been some high-speed chases through Germantown. It's been a target, especially in the early mornings. So looking for that MO, that's what I've determined it is. And I'm sure the GPD's all over it. We've got an apparel firm that's going to expand in Tennessee with 220 jobs with a $7.5 million investment. The apparel company is VF Corporation. They're going to expand its operations in Henning, Tennessee, and a new distro facility in Covington. VF Corporation was founded in 1899. Oh, they've got the North Face, Timberland, Dickies, and Vans. That's cool. I like all that stuff. I'll go up there. Maybe do they have like an employee store or some sort of outlet? That's what I like to get, cheap stuff from those brands, because otherwise you can't afford it. Oh, especially the North Face stuff. That stuff is expensive. And also, we've got this out of Greenwood, Mississippi. There is a rule for the Mississippi Delta convenience store workers and 2 workers that say if you stink, you can't enter the store. You cannot stink. Look, there's a oil mill not far from this convenience store, and so the smelly people from the soybean oil mill are not allowed in the store because they stink. And so, listen, I think it's a pretty good rule. You smell bad, you stink. Please don't come in and stink up the place. You can't shop here. Go take a shower. Shower up before you come and buy your 40s after you go you get done at the soybean oil mill. So that's a rule in Greenwood, and people are upset. They're like, we know we stink, man. How are we going to come buy our deodorant at the old convenience store? All right, there's your news cruise. Coming up, another big loss for classic rock and 80s rock and roll over the weekend. This one really hurts. Not only is this a guy who wrote a bunch of great songs, he also produced a bunch of great albums. We'll talk about another loss in the rock and roll world and get you set up for the Earl Farrell for Memphis show. And we'll do it next right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, stop. Don't do anything until you talk to my man, James Underwood. James Underwood has been helping people like you navigate the Mid-South real estate market for more than a decade. So whether you're looking to buy your first home or you want to upgrade to your forever home, James Underwood can help make it happen. No gimmicks, no guarantees, just a rock-solid guy that I've known for 25 years. So now, if you're looking to buy or sell a home, hit up James Underwood with CryLike. JamesUnderwood.CryLike.com. That's JamesUnderwood.CryLike.com.
Enjoy award-winning musicians at the Bartlett Performing Arts Center. Los Lobos, Hotel California, Rodney Crowell, Sean Mullins, Angelina Ingersoll sings Judy Garland, Gaelic Storm, Angelina Ballerina, Smoke on the Mountain Homecoming, and Mark Cohn singing Walking in Memphis. BPAC has it all. Theater, music, family fun. Buy 5 shows and save 25% at 901-385-5588. For tickets 24/7, visit bpac.org.
KWAM The Voice invites you to the Mississippi Senior Expo and Health Fair Thursday, September 19th from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. at Brown Missionary Baptist Church in South Haven. This year it's bigger than ever, so don't miss it. Free health exams, flu shots, healthy living demos by Silver Sneakers, and valuable information on senior living, plus plenty of food trucks for lunch. The Mississippi Senior Expo, September 19th at Brown Missionary Baptist Church, presented by the DeSoto Times, The Best Times, and KWAM The Voice.
The special event florist for the Mid-South is Lynn Doyle Flowers. They are famous for creating incredible floral arrangements and are available to fill even your last-minute needs. From the simple to the magnificent, their staff can create unique arrangements for your special occasion. Flowers always bring a smile, make someone's day, and for fast, convenient delivery, call Lynn Doyle Flowers today at 901-323-4521 or visit their beautiful new location at 6225 Old Poplar Pike.
Lost another one. It's too bad, man. It's too bad. Very sad stuff going on the past few days. Rick Ocasek of the Cars has passed away at the age of 75. Got the word yesterday. Now, this comes on the heels of Eddie Money passing away at the age of 70, as reported last week here. We talked about Eddie Money a little bit in the Nation of Jake here on The Voice at FM 107.9 and AM 990. And then last night, I got a text from my buddy Patrick, and it said, oh, expletive, Rick Ocasek died. And I'm like, no, man, Rick was cool. He was like the king of cool in the 80s. Like, the Cars took everything. They started up in the 70s. But then, like, the 80s, if you had to tell a young person who was not alive in the 80s, hey, they ask you, Grandpa, what did the 80s sound like? Just give them a Cars record. Seriously, just what I needed in Drive and Shake It Up and My Best Friend's Girl and You Might Think and all those hits from the Cars. That pretty much encapsulates what the 80s sounded like. And Rick Ocasek himself, or Ocasek, I've been told that his name is Rick Ocasek. He just looked like this 80s guy. Like, you know, the black hair, and kind of like he looked like an 80s version of Crying Over You. Roy Orbison. That's kind of who I always thought he was. I was like, he's like kind of an 80s Roy Orbison was Rick Ocasek of the Cars.
I recognize the lyrics you're just saying, but I didn't
recognize. You know all these songs.
Oh,
like,
Roy Orbison grew up in Odessa, Texas, where I'm from.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, we're right outside.
Rock and roll in Texas, and that's Buddy Holly and Roy Orbison, all Texas dudes. But with Rick Ocasek, he started the Cars, and then he went on to be a great producer, did Rick Ocasek. I mean, you know him for the Cars, all those great videos in the early days of MTV. I remember the one especially for, I think it was You Might Think, where he's everywhere. He's like the fly. His head is on the fly, and he's like driving the car in the bed and stuff. But he also went on to produce a lot of albums. A big album of the 90s, Weezer's debut album, the Blue Album, was produced by Rick Ocasek. And if you listen to that album, they borrow a lot from, say, the Cars. And then you listen to Nada Surf's debut album, No Doubt's debut album. Rick Ocasek did a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. He was a titan in the rock world, was he. And 75 years old, I think I read a statement that said he was recuperating from some surgery, and he passed away in his sleep. And he's 75 years old. He had a great run, musician and producer. I think he was married at one point to Paulina Portakova. So, look, the guy made his mark, just like Eddie Money, but it's never easy to kind of hear this kind of stuff because these are guys you grew up with because you start having to deal with, man, these guys are getting old and sick, and they're not that much older than me. Your mind can't help but go in there sometimes. So, R.I.P. Rick Ocasek. Good run, man. Great career. I mean, if you go through, I'm on the Spotify right now looking at the best of the Cars. Hit after hit after hit. Distinct, creative. Leaves behind a great musical legacy, does Rick Ocasek. All right, Earl Farrell's up next. I'll be back tomorrow at 1. So long, and thanks for all the fish.
CBS CBS News at the top of every hour. Serving Tennessee, Mississippi, and Arkansas. The latest news stories are here. This is KWAM Memphis.
This is CBS News on the Hour.